significantly. We used to have a GPMB, which used to export a lot of groundnuts. Now that is gone. We have to revamp the agri sector, focus more on commercial farming instead of subsistence farming. And I think we should also invest in durable and perennial crops like cashew. I mean, if the amount of work and energy we put in groundnut, maybe if we put in cashew, we would make more money out of our effort, out of the land and the labor that we use to produce them. Because cashew would give you at least $9,000 for processed cashew per ton. Whereas how much would groundnut fetch you? It would give you peanuts. So instead of farming groundnuts to get peanuts, we farm cashew and get lots of dollars. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. This is not to say that groundnut farming would be scrapped. No, it has its values. It is important. We need our domoda. And we also need the leaves to feed animals. But we can also be smart in our investment in agriculture. We have to consciously draw up a program to create jobs. If we don't do that, our young population will continue to be frustrated, and that is a recipe for disaster. I have been to Walo area in Senegal, and I came across a lot of young people. And when I asked, why is it that there are too many young people here? They said they have farms here. They are producing tomatoes for export. They are producing strawberries for export. They are producing vegetables. Now Senegal, they almost feed themselves with rice. There are certain times in the year you cannot import certain agricultural produce in Senegal. Why can't we do that in Gambia and get our youth employment? You know, in every country, the most complex law is the tax law. Our tax law is not any better. But there are lots of leakages in the taxation system of this country, and there are lots of losses. We have to revamp the tax code and invest in implementation and enforcement. That way the country would be able to collect more taxes and invest it in things that matter to the Gambian people. If we don't, then the most important things would depend on what we can get from abroad. And that would be a terrible tragedy. It is about time we invest in what we can produce instead of depend on handouts from the West. The most disheartening sector in this country is the health sector. And it beats me. Why can't we establish a national insurance system to get everybody good health care, so that all Gambians would contribute to their health care and everybody would have access to better health care than what we have today? Why can't we do that? There is one important demography in this country that we constantly forget when we talk about policies, and that is the diaspora. This is a very important section or segment of our society. They pay the school fees, They give the monthly fish money, and they help sustain a lot of families. They have to be taken into consideration. If I am privileged to be elected, I would establish a Department of Diaspora Affairs at the President's office. Its responsibility would be to help Gambians bring their money to Gambia at the lowest cost possible. Is to help Gambians abroad to build homes in Gambia instead of depend on traditional methods, which leads to a lot of leakages. Senegal, they have the Banque de l'Habitat. It helps Senegalese abroad. They put in their money, they come to Senegal, they find houses that are built for them. Why can't we do that for our Gambian brothers and sisters who live abroad? The biggest challenge for them is to organize investments in this country. Why can't we have an office that could help them while they are even abroad, help organize their paperwork and help get them the tax incentives that they deserve? Why can't we do that? If we are elected into office, we would create that office and we would provide them with all the facilities to enable them enhance or increase their interaction with this country, strengthen their ties with this country, and make sure their investments in this country would be secure. There is one important issue that is very dear to my heart. For 22 years, from 1994 to 2017, Gambians suffered. There are too many victims. I would make it a crusade to ensure justice for the victims. I know it will come with a price, but justice would be done. I will not lead a government that will sweep it under the carpet. I will not be a government that would play political comedy with the lives of the victims. That would not happen in an administration that I lead. I would ensure that all victims would get the reparation that they need and the recognition that they deserve. In the coming months, politicians would be straddling around the country, promising similar policies that I have just outlined. However, we have to be very careful. One must always ask questions. How would this particular candidate deliver on the promises she or he has made? What is her or his experience or qualification? What is her or his claim to these promises that are being made? I am certain that the Gambian people will now reject the politics of Badiya Fasa and the politics of Mbokanais. I do want to believe that Gambians would now make a choice and would choose knowledge over ignorance, integrity over dishonesty, pragmatism over dogmatism and idealism, experience over neophytes, and excellence over mediocrity. Fellow Gambians, I am convinced that with these basic tests, you will find that I am the best candidate to lead this country. It is no bragging. It is no bragging. My CV, my curriculum vitae, speaks for itself. My work has been presented to this country on television. You can all judge me. Can I be truthful? Yes. Can I be just? Yes. Can I be firm? Yes. Can I be true to the truth? Yes. I do not intend to diminish the qualities or capabilities of any of my fellow contenders. I hold all of them to the highest regard. I give them all maximum respect. And ask any one of them, they would attest to it. I give them all maximum respect. And I will continue to do so. But that said, I believe that I am second to none. I have a track record of success in everything that I do. I have worked as the principal or the chief law writer in this country at some stage, albeit in an acting capacity, but I have run the law writing department of this country. And as a very junior lawyer, administrator of justice, I have worked pretty much in all departments except the Registrar General's department at the same time. I have had my fair share of cases, both criminal and civil, ran a commission of inquiry, represented the Attorney Generals in more than 4 organizations, and at the same time run the drafting department. And I have never complained. I have worked in diplomacy at the highest levels. I can say that I am one of the few Gambians who worked at the United Nations Security Council and the only who can boast of having written several United Nations Security Council resolutions, some of which were adopted unanimously. I have worked for the United Nations in East Timor as a judicial affairs officer doing policy work for the setting up of the judiciary. And I have worked there as a prosecutor at the same time for both ordinary crimes and serious crimes. In fact, I am the only person there who worked in 3 offices all at the same time. And at age 33, I became Deputy General Prosecutor for the United Nations Serious Crimes Unit in East Timor. For many, it may not amount to much, but I tell you, it was so impressive, the Washington Post has to do an interview of me and put a photograph of me, one of the few Gambians who've ever had that honor and privilege. In East Timor, I led the prosecution office with 145 United Nations staff. I think that is good training for administration. I joined the International Development Law Organization, having been headhunted by that organization. And I led their large projects unit, responsibility for governance and justice sector reform around the world, which took me to Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, and Liberia, including the experience of negotiating with the Taliban to establish training programs for Afghanistan judges and prosecutors. I worked at the ICC. I was given responsibility for leading the investigation of the biggest case at the ICC. And I was given the privilege of serving as lead prosecuting counsel, senior trial lawyer, where I led the prosecution of the biggest case before the ICC. For the first time, a sitting head of state is indicted for the crime of genocide. I did that case. I think I have worked in 3 international organizations. I wasn't very pedestrian, but it's not so easy to come across a person who worked in 3 international organizations, 3 different international organizations, and a person who worked on the case of 4 presidents. So I dare say that I'm a very good lawyer. I'm not bragging. And I am sure you would all agree with me that when I did the TRRC, I did not humiliate the country. I did my job with distinction. I am also a businessman, and I have modest success in that area. You know, doing business is difficult, but I know that I have guts. I know I am audacious. I know I am brave. I know I can take investment risks. So, to describe me, I would say I'm a man of the world. I have considerable experiences that I can bring to bear in this work. But above all, I know the law, and the law would be the queen for the administration of any country. And therefore, that makes me uniquely qualified to lead this country. I have a culture of excellence and a culture of success in whatever I do. And this is what I intend to bring into the administration, with respect and humility. And on that note, I thank you all for giving me this honor and privilege. And I say, may God help us all, and may God bless this country. Thank you very much. Are you ready to do it? We will all march on henceforth, and we will take over our country, and we would put it on the track for development, and all those naysayers would be shocked. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Mr. Faal, we appreciate. I think you are officially a politician now, and I dare say we would want the Gambian media to have their first interaction with you, and I would like to lead that. And I will also open the floor for any reporters here from any media house. There will be microphones going around, and I will very much encourage Mandinka and Wolof as well, because this is an opportunity where everybody around the country should be able to hear and also get answers to questions. So I'm switching the lane now from moderator now to a journalist. And I'm going to lead the pack, Mr. Faal. I hope you are ready for us, because wax ji bari na, coow li fii lañ ko fekk, te gën naa yokk ñaari fan yu passé yi Faal. ñu naan Essa liggéey ju rafet bi nga def ba pare ci TRRC lan moo war a tax mu nar a yàq loolu ne dafa ut réew te liggéey jooju sax dafa jeexangul sax Faal luy sa tontu.
fi ma tàmbalee mooy ndax liggéey bi jeex na ak ji ndax jeexagut. foo fekk liggéey rek ku ci nekk dafa am wàllaam kii dafa boy waaram keneen béy waaram man TRRC béy naa suma waar bem jeex ñu teg ma ñaanal ma ba pare ne ma jërëjëf gàcce ngalaama bon nag am naa fiti jóg génn ne jeexal naa suma liggéey
li ñoo wax mooy ne dafa am ab report dafa mel ni boo leen liggéeyee ba pare dafa am ay kayit yu ngeen a dajale di wane seen liggéey di wane itam lan ngeen a digal nguur gi yan yoon la ñoo war a jaar yan dampaañ lañ war a joxe ak nu ñu mel te waxoon nañ ne loolu président jotangu ci kon doog liggéey bi jeexul.
loolu moom dëgg bu set wecc la liggéey bi jeexul waaye ñi ko war a jekkali duñ man ku ci ne da nga am sa wàll man suma wàll jeex na bu yàgg waaye dama toog ne xaaral ma dimbale commission bi jekkali ñoom liñ war a def dimbale koy gunge nit nag nga gunge ko ba ne egsi nañ su la ñaanalee tàccul la ni la jërëjëf xanaa kañ nga dëppa doxi sa soxla moom mi continuer yoon pare may ma jekkali xam nga ñeneen ñi dinañ bugg a nax nit ñi ne xaaral ñu tuumal Essa yàqa deram wane ne liggéey bi jeexagul dafa yàkkamti xam nga lu taxam dañoo ragal gis nga soo demee koot sax looya ba du bindal jooj bi jooj mentam ba pare ñëw riit ko ndax loolu day am musuma ko dégga soo manit dimbale naa commissioner si ñoom ñu def seen report li ma ci liggéey bari na dimbale naa leen ko waaye seen report la ñoom du man report bi man duma ko sign man duma sign report lu tax nag may faa des di feyeku seen xaalis te liggéeyuma dara
xam naa ne
waaye rek ma yokka ci dara
waaw
dinañ ko waxee neneen xam nga luñ ci jublu pour yaaxa suma der rek parce que waxi politique a jot waaye su dee dëgg rek moo taxaw te man ci dëgg rek laay wéy dama respect nguur gi respect ña fa nekka respect Gambian people bi looloo tax ba ma joxee suma closing remarks ma des commission ba tey di leen dimbale moo tax it bañ externe commission bi ma des fa ba tey di leen dimbale su ma demee nag ba foog ne man pare naa commission bi d'accord a man ne pare nañ ñu ne ma jërëjëf ñaanal ma am naa sañ-sañi dem te loolu laa def
balaa ñoo dugg ci soose xam naa ne suma mbokki journaliste si yàkkamti nañ
waaye sa question bi ñaari fànn la woon beneen fànn bi dafa important fu ma jaar wax ci dara nga ne def naa liggéey bu rafet def naa liggéey bu baax waaw ñu ne bu ma koy yàqa di taxaw pour président taxaw président bi sax dafa gën a defar liggéey booba ma defoon xam nga man lan laa gëm méritocratie li ma gëm mooy ne liggéey bi nañ ko jox ñi mun ñi munut nañ bàyyi soo ci kaw loolu kon ka nag man wane naa li ma mun na keneen wane munam ku ci nekka suñ laa jox liggéey ñu jooj la ci li nga mus a def te am na lu sax loo xam ne dina génn ci loolu Gambia yi dinañ gis ne ku fi liggéey bu baax def ko mu jaar yoon def ko nit ñi yëpp kontaan nit ñi dinañ la ci teral nit ñi dinañ la ci naw te loolu dañ ko war a yéen ko soo man clé mu ma ne because def naa TRRC dama war a nekk président musuma wax loolu ci àddina man dama ne man Essa Faal am naa gëm-gëmi ne mun naa nekk président am naa gëm-gëmi ne am naa xam-xam bu doy boo xam ne dina tax ma mun a nekk président xam naa ne am naa jaar-jaar yu óor yoo xam ne dina tax ma mun a nekk président xam naa ne Gambia buñ ma tànnee def ma président duñ ma génnee ci bit dëkk ci àddina si ma dem fen ma wax nit ñi ree ma te xam naa ne fépp fuñ ma teg ñama faa taseel la ma leen a wax dina dugg seen noppa yi bon nag foog naa ne mérito naa ko foog naa ne yelloo naa ko foog naa ne mat naa ko parce que am naa yar gi am naa teggin gi am naa xam-xam bi am naa tempérament bi te buñ koo def
waaye balaa waxtaan bi ni neex nag ngeen may ñu parce que tey suñ ndaje la ñun media ba moom tey loolu moo tax man ma teewe moo tax ñëpp fii teewe bon di ngeen ñu may because dafa am yoo xam ne il faut ñu réeral ko mbe duna ma nekk kawon ŋaaloon na ko ye jaasi kunda kele saabi ji anu ŋaaloon na fanaa koye ma nekk kawon moy le doobu je siŋol sa kati bari yaa moy le pour ñin kaaro la seniya kamala mo jamal kam min fo wolom ko do ku o ñimmi yalan ko yaa kele a ñii ñaata a benta bara man pare ni da koy mansa kunda ñino le mansa ya ñino la woto foy fongola do ku ñimma e mantara tiña kam ban ñunnam ñinen kaaro
no baadi mandinkolo al hekkatu ñe ni nga mandinko barama do manden Ahmad kom thank you aliya lon kumo mu munneti ni lafita mo to kuyala i lafita mo to tiñala ite kumol foyami ya lon ko abade mala an sañi be politique wato la so nin inte lota comme nga déclare ñamen bi mtani man sa kunda min be siring wala ba fenke la could you say again so political tosul lem nin inte andi man sa kunda ñe respect le bake ñe buñale ñe hormale bari toña mu munneti ya mira ko man sa kunda mi ya lonko anin inte be kala la pour jumale be kala mansati ya mira ko ibem fasala ye ku nyimma fo na do ko kan ita kala munem toñati TRRC do ko wo ngabanne commissioners ye jen jay yen tentu idwa tanye fa so sani kuma abanta fereng ni mobe tamala alfuta do dulato ya foye ko okay abarka idan jang idan farang so inte nga Gambia kanule bake wala tinna bringan na closing remarks di womu note high note letinom inse doko wulano bari mam woke in sita je nga doko woke inte be messino la num office auto TRRC billahi wal kitabi inka sino la num je TRRC na staff ika taraje for 1 o'clock 2 a.m. inka laje pour que do ko woke mo jama ke woke le Gambe jambang banko kano dorong le wo sab nga do ko woke nga banne idwa tanye abanta fereng so sañi men kuko mbeku kotento bari yalong abe nyaming obviously manta kunda tenjayla katu ni yen jay wote bete yala de bari wokan ngalo mune be kering bari wokan be nge bunya nge horma nge respect katu itelum man sakundati ngabula wo nyama.
I think we have 2 microphones going around. If any of the media persons are interested, Keba, we can facilitate. First, state your name, your media house, and then ask a direct question. In English, Mandinka, and Wolof, whichever language of your preference. Keba, flex down once in front. Oh, yeah, okay. Please kindly stand up, sir.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Amadou Bari. Man nak Media Sénégal lay liggéeyal as correspondent fii ñaari laaj la am pour Mr Fall. Sorry, can you hold this one? Bu njëkk bi moo di lan moo tax mu xaar ba tey jii nii te nag ñu nekk si daa nekk ñetti weer 3 months moo des laata élection bi mu naan dafay taxaw ndax xatul bu loolu weesoo itam bu wéenul élection yi ndax amul lu muy ragal niñ koy xoolee beneen bi laaj nga ko Miss Dramé laaj nga ko si waaye man bëggoon naa ko si laaj tuuti parce que am na ñu ko doon laam-laamee lu yàgg moom dafa am political ambition ak yooyu waaye foogul ne lum taxaw nii jox na dëgg ñi nga xam ne ñoo ko doon nga ñi wax ne dëgg la tey jii nii su fekkee am na xam-xam jàng na am na ambition everything waaye ñu bëri xamuñ ko woon balaa commission bi parce que ñu koy critiques duñ wax ne moom dafa jëfandikoo ak commission bi def plateforme pour doxal mbiru boppam waaw.
jërëjëf foog naa leer na jërëjëf.
xam nga yenn yi nit ki dina ko wax mu doon wax ju daanu mu doon wax koo xam ne wax la rekk parce que nit ki dafa am lum ci jublu xam nga soo ànduta nit ki di nga ut loo xam ne dina tax nga critiquer ko waaw soo xoolee amuloo loo ko critiquer nga wax ne dafa tardé mbaa dafa yàkkamti mbaa dafa jëfoo TRRC pour taxaw man de mbër moo gis dooleem laa demee ci géew gi duñ la ne mukk yow comme que fi mu ne da nga entraîné ba am doole da nga xaar ba nga faiblesse nga door a ñëw bëre mus nga koo dégg mus nga koo dégg waaye nit ki tam sa CV rek nga am sa jaar-jaar rek nga am du ma teggi TRRC tegee ko fële ne xool leen ma TRRC bokk ci bon dafa mel ni am na lu ñaaw lu ma fa def man la ma fa liggéey yépp lu correct la ci yoon laa ko teg ak ci gom laa ko teg man dama liggéey ak suma xol liggéey ak suma xel liggéey ak suma ngëm leena laa ci yoon jublu def lu baax def lu rafet nga xam ne ku toog Germany di seetaan TRRC doo ne Gambia amuñ ay lawyer ku toog United Nations di seetaan doo ne Gambia amuñ ay lawyer te mun naa laa wax ne foo ci dem ci dëkk yooyu muy New York America muy Germany everywhere in Europe ñu ngi wax suñ TRRC bi suñ ko liggéeyu toon mu baax kenn du ko wax suñ ko liggéeyu toon mu baax Gambien ñi duñ toog di seetaan Gambien ñi dañ bari caractère su leen ko jaralut duñ toog di ko seetaan so man góorgóorlu naa def TRRC bi mu interesting mu jar pour nit ñi di ko seetaan so ku ma ci waxut gàcce ngalaama bàyyi ma rek di ma seetaan waaye bul ko use ne dang maa wàccee du dem Gambien ñi duñ ko nangu ba pare lii lan na ci xam nga lu tax ma xaw a tardé xam nga lu tax bugg a xormal Gambien yi bugga leen a won respect bugga leen a won ne seen njëriñ mooy suma njëriñ moo tax ma toog fa xam naa ne bés bu dem suma time maa ngi koo perta lan nga teg ne moo tax ñu yokkati RRC bi ah yéen a ko wax de soo bon nag man la ma fa toog xam naa lan laa doon jànkuwanteel waaye sant yàlla alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin jeexal naa ko ci alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin kenn mënu maa arrêté ne dinaa def lii maa def nii parce que yoon moo ma ko may man sumay maam dañ dëkk juddoo ci dëkk bi liggéey ko suma maam Matar Madike Fall bàmmeelam mu nga Kañube in URR ñaata nit ñoo fi mun a wone bàmmeeli seen ki jur seen maam bariwul man mun naa ko te dafa liggéey bu set Gambia mu nekkoon one of the most renowned advisors for Musa Molo ok ma jóge fa kooku jur suma maam Essa Faal ak suma maam Madike muy magam suma maam Alaaji Ndongo Rada muy maam Alaaji Ndongo muy maamam suma maam Essa moo sampa 80% of waaf yi nekk Gambia ak bridges yi soo man kooku sax dañ ko war a tappal médaille ne ko baabi li man sax parce que su dee dëgg rek la ñoo wax ku build over 80% of bridges and wharfs in this country ah Yaya Jammeh takkal na ko médaille waaye jox ko baabi li man sax tuddee nañ ko koñ ok ma jógee ci kooku ki ma jur àddinaam yépp daf ko def ci jàngale jàngale na daara su leen neexee ñu ne oustaz la woon fine I'm happy to have him as oustaz waaye nekk na principal in a lot of the high schools secondary schools in this country Greater Banjul Middle School suma paako bil so jàngal hundreds of people who are successful in this country so man fii laa bokka kenn mënu ci dara.
Thank you. Please make the question short, and I will also try to answer every question here. Maybe for another,
the second mic is with
another 30 minutes or so.
Yes.
I am available to answer questions.
The second mic is with Mariam upstairs.
Second mic is there. Somebody?
Yes, somebody.
Yes. My name is Landin Sise from Kerfatu. My question is, Mr. Fall, you talk about elites running away. You said some of the elites, including yourself, left the country on what you call fankum fankum. How could you assure the people that when Mr. Fall is voted into the State House, he would not do what he called fankum fankum, like other leaders are doing?
Well, the simple answer is I have no need to. I would not go to State House to be a hustler. I am satisfied with the little that I have, and I think that little is sufficient to sustain me and my family.
Next question, please. Keva, let's get it moving, please.
Yes, Flex. I think Flex wants to answer.
Thank you very much.
Géwél yi di ngeen ñu may nag lii bési media la de suñ paree ñu abal leen micro.
Assalamu alaikum, jërëjëf. Yusuf Taylor for Gainako Online News. So my question is with regards to the TRRC. Again, the report hasn't been submitted, and you have played an instrumental role in the commission. Now, in between now, we have 1 month before that report is finalized. You as lead counsel, will you be needed as to provide clarification, especially for this report before it is finalized? And if that is the case, why could you not have waited for your announcement to come at least in 30 more days after the report has been finished and submitted?
You see, the answer to that question is quite obvious. I have already answered it. Because the report is a report of the Commission and of the commissioners. So the commissioners signed their report. If there is any clarification that needs to be asked, it should be asked of the commissioners. But the commissioners themselves would not need to ask me anything, because the commissioners and I and the entire legal team sat over several sessions to discuss all the contents of the report. So there should not be any need to come back to me. But even if there should be a need to consult and find out, the Commission has a legal consultant who participated in the writing of the report. That person is there to answer those questions. So really, I don't have much need for the Commission now, and that's the reason why I left. And also, I should not allow political maneuvering to jeopardize the political desires of the Gambian people. I should not allow that.
Yes.
Let me come in, and let's make the question short. I'm getting bombarded, Mr. Faal. People want to know, what is the name of your party? They want to hear from you. Apparently, you didn't name a party. Are you independent? Do you have a party? What is happening? People want to know.
I don't have a party, and I don't need one. I could not have made a party if I wanted to. You know why? Because I was engaged with the TRRC. So I cannot be going around the country gathering signatures to form a party. I could not do that. In fact, I made up my mind to run for president late in the day. Okay, I was toying around the idea. Sometimes I'll say I would, on other times I say I wouldn't. I prevaricated. I changed my mind on several occasions. But my mind is now firmed up, and I am in the race. I am now officially, by announcement, a candidate, an independent candidate for president. And let me tell you, one of the principal reasons I did not want to have a party is I don't want to be beholden to any group of people because of the profound and far-reaching changes that I would want to make in the administration of this country, from civil service reform to the fighting of corruption. I don't want people to sit there and say, you must give me a job. I want to have a cabinet that is 50% women. I don't want some guy sitting there telling me you cannot do it. I want to have a cabinet that is ethnically and regionally balanced and diverse. I don't want anybody telling me you cannot do that. You must give me 5 positions. I don't want that. That's why I want to be as independent as possible. Thank you.
Okay, let's get it going.
Second mic. Yes.
My name is Salejang, a freelance reporter. Well, my question is, you spoke a lot about most of the area, poverty, healthcare system, and ensuring justice for victims of the past 22 years. But Essa Faal, as a presidential candidate or aspirant, what will you say to that girl that have been waiting for over 10 to 15 years without justice for being raped, or women that have been facing domestic violence and they couldn't get justice up to this day?
This is a very important question. We must always protect the most vulnerable members of our society. It is an obligation. And perhaps that is one of the main reasons why I chose to become a lawyer. I have prosecuted a lot of these offenses, and I still do. And that is why I sit here today and boldly declare that I would pursue justice for the victims, even though I know that that would be unpopular. I know that there's a huge segment of our society who would not vote for me because of that statement I have just made. But you know what? I am prepared to lose votes just because I need to stand on certain important principles and values. And this is one of them.
Yes, come on.
Let's go, guys. Please stand up so we can see you. Okay. Name, media, question.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yankuba Jallo, Foreign Newspaper. Mr. Faal, usually if you call people, most of the time we ask for manifesto, and then we are told the manifesto is not ready. And now people want to know, how do you intend to address the economic challenges of the country? You are talking about
what?
The economic. You are talking about tax, reforming the tax regime of the country, tax laws and the implementation. What are the plans to address the economic challenges? You are talking about, for example, the mining sector, that it should be in the hands of Gambians. What else do you have for addressing the economic challenges of the country? Because that is the most important thing. The country always run, deficit every time. What are your plans to address this?
You see, a country would not have an economy if it doesn't produce anything. So there are two ways to build an economy: through production or through services to generate income and generate wealth. The government does not generally have money to invest in the critical areas, so it has to depend on doing a few things. One is to try to generate revenue through taxes and to invest it in areas. But the most important one is the creation of an enabling environment for businesses to prosper, investments to come in, for the government to enlarge the pie, that is to increase its revenue base. If there are any experts in the world on creating good environments for businesses to prosper, it is lawyers. That is what we do. Lawyers who write the laws, lawyers who work in policy, and lawyers who oversee enforcement. I have done all those. I have been the acting parliamentary counsel of this country, which is the principal law writer in this country. So my plans are, importantly, to create that enabling environment for businesses to prosper and expand, to create that enabled environment that would give investor confidence for investors to bring their monies here. But my biggest target is Gambians in the diaspora. That's why I want to create a diaspora department, diaspora affairs department at the president's office, to encourage and help Gambians bring their money in this country and invest them. What we have today is, Gambians, you cannot do business in absentia. You send your money to this country for business, boom. We have to create that environment for these people to be able to invest in this country, and those investments will succeed. We have to create environments for people to invest in services. Contrary to some beliefs, the services sector creates a lot of wealth in a society, and we should encourage that. Creation of insurance companies, creation of building societies. You know, we have the Social Security and the Housing Finance Corporation. Are they building houses in this country? Don't people in the diaspora need houses? Don't they have money to pay for it? So you see, this requires a lot of creativity. If we had created a building society, government uses its money to create a building society, and Gambians in the diaspora invest in that. You can make deposits and savings in that building society, and if you want a house, They can provide you with houses of particular types. They would be building and people can select and buy. These are all ways of helping to spur an economy. Services is the way to go, mostly for a society that does not produce much. What do we produce? Groundnuts, and we get peanuts. So we should invest in the services sector. As a junior lawyer at AG Chambers, I know that we had lawyers, we had in our laws offshore banking rules and so forth. Do we have an offshore bank in Gambia? A lot of these things are in fact in our law books. It's just a question of the government coming up with programs that would help you see, bring these out to light. People would take advantage of them and invest. Government cannot just be printing money, and government cannot invest in things that it does not have. So what government can do is to create that environment for the people to do it themselves. So what government should do to spur economic growth is to create an environment for businesses to flourish, and also to create an environment for businesses and capital to come into the country. And that you do it by way of making sure that there is investor confidence. And that we also plan to do through reducing corruption to the minimum, and also ensuring transparent government, creating e-government such that the bureaucracy is significantly reduced and there is transparency. The biggest problem in Gambia now is if you make a lease for land, you can follow it for 14 years. You will never get your lease unless you have somebody at land's office or an agent who you would pay. He will go rubber and get you the document. That is the system in this country. If we have e-government, as I plan to do, you have a transparent system, you would also have a system that would engender confidence in the people. And so Gambians and foreigners alike would have the confidence to invest in this country. So the way to go is to create enabling environments for businesses that exist to do well, and investor-friendly environment for businesses outside or individuals outside to bring their money in this country. That's what you need to do. That's how you spur economic growth.
Let's get it going. I'll encourage Wolof and Mandinka as well, I think, especially Wolof.
My name is Alimatu S. Bajinka, New Day. Mr. Faal, my question to you is, what happened to all your policies you have listed if you do not win the 4th December election?
Could you say again, what happens to them?
What happens to your policies if you do not win the 4th December election?
Well, I hope that they would be good enough that the person who wins the 4th December elections would find them worthy to implement them. Because our concern is the welfare and interest of the Gambian people. Whether I implement them or somebody else implements them does not really matter. The important thing is to have them implemented for the benefit of the Gambian people.
Thank you very much, Mr. Faal. This is Omar Ba, of course, from the Standard newspaper. I have a couple of questions, but I'll start with one. A question that was given to me by one of the victims who live nearby. Of course, you know, you will excuse me, of course, for asking about the TRRC again, because, you know, it seems everything around you in this country is around the TRRC. So you would excuse us for asking questions regarding the TRRC. So this victim want to know from you, now that you have decided to join the political frame, whether this will not in any way distract the government in terms of the decisions they're going to take with regards to the TRRC recommendations. And the victim also want to know whether Essa, who is so dear to them, will continue, who is so dear to them, to the victims, will continue to stand for them, even in your political rallies and other places. He wants to know that. So the second question is with regards to whether you really want to work with other parties or other presidential experience, whether you have started it already. And the other one is, it's been rumored that you have reached out.
He's not going to remember all.
Yeah, let me just, he's going to.
You can keep the mic. Okay. Please respond to what so far, then he can come again. It's too many questions.
Right. The question from the victim is very important for me. The situation of the victims is very dear to me. You know, having worked at the TRRC, many nights I went home crying. Yes, men do cry. It's true, we do. And the only reason is because of the suffering I have seen victims go through up to today. So their cause and their plight is very dear for me. I have taken a lot of risks fighting for the victims of this country. I could have been killed, and indeed I have received many threats. I have. But regardless, I decided to continue. And I said to myself, no one would run me away. No one would cow me away. I would stand firm and steadfast and fight for the victims. I look at them in their eyes and ask them the difficult questions. I am satisfied within my own self that I have done a good job and I have been fair to all of them. So I would never abandon the victims. That's why I say that I would continue to fight for justice for the victims. So that one, be rest assured. Whosoever that victim is, be rest assured. On the issue of the government, I think it's only the government that can answer for itself. And I want to believe, I want to think that our government would be a responsible government and would do what is right. But if it doesn't, the people can punish the government. And that is the duty of the citizens. The government has to be held accountable for its actions. If it does what is right, applaud the government and re-elect them in office. If they do wrong, ajindi. I think I have answered your two questions.
You want to do a follow-up? Please.
Second one was what?
I asked two questions.
Yes.
The TRRC, of course.
Would you want to join any political party?
Yeah.
Or whether I want to join any political party?
Yeah, or they join you, either way.
You see, this is an easy question. It is also a difficult question. I would not want to join any political party just for the sake of joining. Our ideas must. Okay. There should be the possibility of an effective working relationship. You don't want to have an unholy alliance or a strange bedfellows. And I have particular beliefs. Fighting corruption is one very dear to me. You know, trying to reconcile the country, it is also another that is dear to me, and a host of policies that I have outlined. While I would want others to join me, in fact, I take this opportunity to call on all the opposition parties to come and join me. Because you know what, I do believe that we have a good opportunity to win this election. We do. And for those who don't believe it, come December 4, you will be surprised. But to conclude on that point, I don't mind being endorsed by parties who think I am worthy enough to lead. I don't mind going into coalitions with those parties who think that my values align with them. But that is if I feel the same. It all depends on the kind of arrangements and the parameters for selecting leadership. Of course, each of these candidates would think that she or he is better than the next candidate. So there should be a system of selection that is above board, a system of selection that would produce the best candidate. Only on those bases would I be willing to join a coalition. But of course, I am open to that possibility. It all depends on the arrangements. I hope that answers your question.
So the final two questions. One.
You gotta pass it on, man.
So the other two. Sorry. Your deliberations. We have our close neighbors, Senegal, who are so important to us as much as we are important to them. I want to know how do you intend to handle the relationship between Gambia and Senegal in ensuring that the benefits are on both sides? The final one is...
No, the
final one is... What will you tell...
No, I refuse.
The farmer in Koina... No, I have to ask this. What will you tell the farmer in Koina bicycle? So I want... Because they think the poor farmer in Koina feels that it's only those who feel what they feel will know their problems. You are talking about elite. The elites don't care about the poor.
Okay, thank you, Omar. I think it's clear. Thank you. And please give my mic back.
I will not take offense. I will not take offense for that label, elite. Also, to think that I don't care, Koina, during Ramadan, breaking my fast with mangoes just to help that it. I did not. And I would be happy. From Koina to Kartong, I don't even know their names. It does not matter. Would still have a very good life. I'm not going into this for self-blessed to have enjoyed them somehow. If it is fair, you understand. So I am going in for this. Me every day. You have been at the commission. You have seen me. So I would not push on that point any further. My love. What was it? You've asked too many questions. All the candidates, I am the only person who has, I mean at the technical level, we have to respect and understand. You see, if you want some favor, do that. We have to recognize the achievements of people. At that level, I am the only candidate who has worked as a diplomat. And I did at the hand, no less a diplomat than themselves. Security Council team, when Mankeur Njai was also a councillor, do you think?
Mr. Faal, the mic.
To the Senegalese market and do relative.
They're passing you the most. Why didn't you ever join this?
Out of ignorance. The person ever contributed to the cause of UDP. Honorable person, I will not break them. When special advisor of the secretary, international civil servant working abroad, jobs I got for Gambians who were persecuted in this. You know what that meant for jobs abroad. And that was also important contribution. And expect me, an international civil servant, to come and stand in political rally. They will tell you that Essa was there. So where were you? Or where you are, where I am here.
Dear Ms. Jankesi, sir, mentioning your priorities, which are children and people that believe they are not meant for the classroom. And the second one is, we have about 18 political parties in the country.
Because I believe that I have this wisely. I do believe Gambians would choose knowledge over ignorance, integrity over dishonesty, pragmatism over dogmatism or idealism, experience over neophytes, and excellence would hold a central role in my administration if I am privileged and honored to be voted in. I did not even have the time to read their policies because I was busy with the TR. Because I do believe that the women are becoming the most educated segment, occupy a central role in my government. You can call me. One thing is for certain.
Yes.
The presidency will never change me.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was very young, and I was going to hotel school, and he was going to Ghana. So I'm coming.
Please arrive.
Yes,
please
I'm coming.
Arrive, sir.
And then I know you have a lot of plans as events planning to do for the country. But my question here, I know it's not very limited time to go. And I want to know actually whether and how you get your resources. And after all, I want to know who is going to.
The rest assured that the funds to run this campaign will be available. President, they would put in the resources to fund, but for the purposes of bringing change in this country. And that's what, yes. Who would be my sponsors? I am not looking me or direct policies. I don't want that. I did a fundraising in Mimbekere. The people were so happy. You know what? Those people and the person who contributed 100,000 people. For me, I'm not looking for that the Gambians would give. And believe me, boy, we have support.
By him, chase him, follow him for one-to-one interviews. I think Kedfatu has one tomorrow. But then we're supposed to be here for an hour, and he's already been here for more than 2 hours. So perhaps 3 more questions to do for the community. Nañ ko def ci olof sax. Silmaxa yi, ñu tële yi, lan nga am pour wax leen boo gañee nekk président Gambia lan ban ye waaye waroo tax ba ki silmaxa waroo tax bokk ci liggéeyum réew wala waruñ ko.
Have a very strong relationship with some of these organizations. If in Paralympics, did you say that I should answer in Wolof?
In fact,
relationship am na jokkoo guñ am silmaxa yi am naa ñoom relationship ñoom ñëpp laa def teranga suma digganteeg ñoom. so bon yaakaar naa ne su dee mun naa def loolu ci fi ma toog nii bon yaakaar naa ne teranga googu duma ko bàyyi ba pare ñu jëm li ñu war a def mooy fexe differently able people bi ñu am represent
selmaxa bi fa nekk
am na jigéen selmaxa bu fa nekk bon that is in the right direction because I have always advocated for that teg si dooli war nañoo create programmes yoo xam ne nit ñi dinañ leen gën a understand gën leen a appreciate xañ leen war a dëgëral niñ leen a dëgëralee mooy ñu jox leen training yoo xam ne dina leen njëriñ loolu lañ leen war a defal leneen liñ ci mën a defal mooy place yoo xam ne fa la gaa yi dëkkee nga def zebra crossing ñu am facilities like proper walking sticks and so forth am reason why we cannot have guide dogs suñ amee an expert mu ñëw fii jàngal ay nit ñu waaye loolu personal choice la so loolu it beneen approach la another approach mooy yii lañ leen mun a defal ba pare yokka seen possibilities ci àddina in braille su ko defee muy mun a read scripts yoo xam ne bind nañ ko mooy yàlla dimbale woon Gambien yi wóolu ma tànn ma teg ma fa li ma tëral nguur gaa ko waroon a def waaye fu nguur gi amut bon doomi réew mi rek jéem a jóg taka seen digga
waaye fan yële dama dajeeg benn silmaxa bu magistrate xam ne mu ngay def àtte fii si Bruce bi court kon nag loolu am na solo laajte boobu Keba please
mic number 2.
This question, you have said you don't feel the need to register a party. Established cabinet in waiting, provided that the election turns in your favor. And the second question is, you have spoken extensively, there is high level of corruption. And how is your government in...
Government is very easy. I know I have people who are willing to serve, and I want to bring a government that is better than all those who are available. You only serve because you are... Such people are not so easily available. But I am certain that when the call of duty comes, they would come to serve. And not diaspora. And I want all of them to be top professionals in their respective areas. So be rest assured, have on us would never be betrayed. On corruption, yes, it is a big problem, but also it could be circumstantial. So I would depass. Sëñ bi nga gis ku la ne dara ngi nii soo moytuwul mu def dara. So suñ gaa yi korop lu ci ëppa ñoo leen korop loo in this country nga xam ne booy liggéey ñuy la xam ne dafa tax nga am yaakaar ba pare toon nekka ñaankat mbaa kuy jël dara si ron yal na ñu ci yàlla musal yal na fi em.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening,
please
everyone.
let me talk. If I don't talk, I won't be able to rest.
Good evening. Situation of the Dalasi as it was before during the time of Jawara. And secondly, the transport sector and the reduction of the loss of life in the traffic. And thirdly, we will want to other remote places in the country.
Okay, I'll take that last one first. In 9th task force, and we wrote the governance framework for this country. 1995. You see, the biggest problem, but decentralization must come with accountability. So, and that is why government is usually very jealous in decentralizing power to local government authorities. Level would take responsibility for in a very organized manner, and we must ensure local government officers. The other question, well, you see, it is disheartening that you will take 50 of our dollars to get $1 US. And we should work to enhance. I am not an expert in economics. Revaluation of a country's currency without having things with the advice of the economists, I would not so boldly jump to say that having a proper study of the situation. I think it would be fair. So fools should not just jump.
And your question, that was why. So let's get the last question, please.
Invested in public transport. At one point, I had about 21 or 23 minivans. You would find a woman there who has 200 matatus. And the business is just like our NAWEC or our GUC. We're still struggling to solve those two conundrums. But effective and efficient public transportation. But without that, public transportation for Werse, he would go and give it to a zero man. Okay? And he would go take care of other business. The zero man would take half of the takings, and he has been worked. They gathered a little bit and give to the owner of the vehicle. Or they even complain that they had a breakdown. That cannot help public transportation in this country. You understand? We cannot solve that problem without training for them. We cannot solve that problem without greater regulation. Reduce corruption significantly in this country.
So, Mr. Drame,
final question.
I will not leave this place.
Last question.
No.
This is child's play. You've done long hearings before. But let's do last question, please.
Okay, when you are giving the vote, you can perfectly handle this country. But then, it is said to be for an organization to achieve its goals, you must be a leader, not a boss. And then you have, and your life especially, you have your own life to live. How are you able to handle it?
You see, I was acting Deputy General Prosecutor and then Chief of Prosecution. I had 145 U.S., 8 of them were black. So you know what that meant. To manage all these people was a challenge. Spoke volumes. So projects around the world. In Afghanistan, for instance, I had 2 projects, one for $6 million and another for $14 million. I ran both projects successfully. And the people who manned those projects, I had the biggest team. In fact, most of the lawyers who were in prosecution would prefer to. I managed them all with success. My work in Europe, I have worked in America, I have worked in Asia. That prepared me for what I was to find at TRRC. I bet you every continent or several continents and have worked in several fields from diplomacy, accountancy, law enforcement, good government. This is why you should vote me to be your president come December 4 so that...
Thank
you very much.
I would like you to make closing or less, please.
Thank you. Jërë ngeen jëf Gambia. Kontaan naa lool. Gambia yëpp gis nañ suma liggéey. Te Gambia nit ñi gis nañ li nga fi def. Ku ci nekk nañ la joojee ci sa record boppa ak local standards de su dee dañ bëgg a dem ci kaw mel ni yeneen dëkk yi nit ñu joojee la standards yooyu parce que man leen laa gëm bu la nit ne dinaa la jëlee fu bu la ne dinaa la fa yóbbu daf laa nax inte day si man soto jee kaatu ibe mine jële jee ibe mandinko mbe ala dani la ni nata ni mo nata je ko ti ko mantara intol ya ni nata ya ding folo mi wa fango aman sene ya bake ya so ka election o fay ka mansa tombo be mewol ila baluwo kono ye doku si fa munele ke marale daming ya bondi mun toloto ya samba mun to so be Gambian be danila
thank you
be gande beje ngal fo munela
baraka jërëjëf thank you ana gaweli yena moome léegi ñun